You need to get jacked fast. So instead of doom scrolling Instagram Reels tonight and waking up embarrassed tomorrow to look at yourself in the mirror, I'm going to give you the 4-week program that I've used to help my clients triple their mental health in just 2 weeks, and that I've used over the last 3 years to see consistent gains in the gym and end up benching 1.5 times my body weight. Now, what I like about this method is that whether you're just starting out in the gym or fallen off, going for a couple of years now, you can still use it to find out exactly what you need to do fast. And what's even better about this is that if you can do this once, you can do this again and again, and it can be applied to any situation, regardless of how winded you get walking up the stairs. After recording this, I've realized that I've left out a lot more than I should have, and I just assume you have access to a gym, so if you have any questions or you need any specific calisthenic programs, shoot me a DM, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So your first two priorities when you're first starting out in the gym is mobility and mindset. Now, I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, I want to do my winter work, I want to start my 30-minute ab workouts. Well, the problem about that is that you don't have the proper mobility or the proper frameworks in your mind to actually start seeing progress in the gym in the long term. Now, mobility. 3 times a week, 3 times a day, you're going to walk for 10-15 minutes and do a stretching workout. By stretching workout, you can literally just go on YouTube, look up 10-15 minute body workout. I highly recommend Alex Crockford. He knows a lot of stuff. And yeah, just go on a walk, music, play on your phone, whatever you want to do, just walk for 10 to 15 minutes. The reason why we're doing this is because a lot of us, we have lower back pain from sitting down all day. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell you what to do if you have a hernia or lower back pain, etc. But what a lot of people use in the PT niche is called the McGill Top 3. McGill Top 3. These are the curl-ups, bird dogs, side bridges. That's it for mobility. You're getting mobile, you're getting out there. Mindset, the more important stuff. The 3 main problems we face when we're first trying to get into the gym is no motivation, no friends, sad face, and terrible mindset. Alright, so how do we fix no motivation? It's pretty simple. Motivation is a cycle. Let's say you get motivated, alright? Maybe you watch a David Goggins video. Maybe you look at your accountability log and you notice that you haven't meditated in over a week. You get motivated, you do some work. Because you are motivated, you want to do more work, and around and around and around the cycle goes. Keep in mind that you don't need motivation to start the cycle. A lot of people think, I can't get into the gym, I can't start a business, I can't do anything because I'm not motivated. I should just scroll on Instagram Reels for 12 hours a day and think about who I want to be. If you were to just complete 5 minutes of work, just do 5 push-ups, you are going to be more motivated than if you did nothing at all and just scrolled on Instagram Reels. Action breeds clarity is the thing here. Just get down and do 5 push-ups, or watch David Goggins' motivational video, see your accountability log and say, okay, I need to do 5 push-ups today, etc. Find a way to either get motivated or do some work. There you go. Now you're motivated. Check. No friends. Womp womp. You have no friends. Okay, so I don't either. Here's how we fix it. While you can use Discord, a lot of people use Discord, that's great. I highly recommend School. You can go on Discover Communities, and basically you can find any niche of people you want. They'll be on here, whether it's paid or free. And these are just great, high-quality people. And while you can use Discord, if you stick to the music, entertainment, science, and tech niche, I actually have Discord personally, School will help you loads more. There are a lot more quality people on School. Alright, so boom, you have friends. Eventually you can use the people from School, you can use your connections on School to meet these people in person to move to a new country, I don't know, Thailand, Bali, Japan, etc. You can just go to these people, meet in person, and then you'll have more in-person friends. Because it's really difficult for us as young men, 16, 18, 20, 22, it's hard to find other people on self-improvement because everyone our age is just working a job, or playing video games, or getting high, etc. It's hard to find other people like us, so find people online until you can find people in person, basically, is my point. Now we're going to instill the proper mindset. Well, mindset is pretty simple. It starts with having a good morning routine. Alright, so first, meditate. You need to meditate. Gratitude. For 3 to 6 points. You're going to go on a walk. You're going to stretch. That's your morning routine. Meditate. How do you do that? Well, you go to this app called Medito. It has beginner courses. It has, sleep. A whole bunch of features and stuff. Whatever you need to do. It's on iOS. It's on Android. So you can literally just go to medito.org, meditofoundation.org, and go to its app. Gratitude, you want to get a gratitude journal. You can get a journal off of Amazon. I highly recommend a campus notebook. That's what I use. There are a bunch of pastel colors, but I just get black ones. Okay, so yeah, gratitude, 3 to 6 points, things you're grateful for. You don't need to write at all. All you need to do is just say, I am grateful for my tripod, I'm grateful for water, I'm grateful for the sunrise, etc. Walk, stretch, obviously, and then you just get to work. You just do whatever you gotta do. Eventually, this walking and stretching will be replaced with going to the gym. Right? I highly recommend going to the gym in the morning, but for now, just walking and stretching is going to be your priority. Alright, so that's the first step, having a morning routine. The next step to developing a good mindset is understanding how self-improvement works, how life works. Success is an L curve, so a lot of people, come New Year's, thousands of people will flood the gym. All of them are right here. Someone like David Goggins, who's been doing it for years and years and years, and then he's up here. He's on top of his game. He's at the top of his niche. A lot of people will look at David Goggins and say, I'm mad that I'm not here yet, and I'm just right here. He's been doing this for nearly 2 decades. This is your second week. I don't know what you're complaining about. So you need to find happiness in where you are now, and you need to not be angry at yourself for not being there yet. It's okay if you're not there yet. You're not supposed to be there yet. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. Now, the way you improve, the way you get from here to there, is through the cycle of self-improvement. It's pretty simple. This dotted line is your baseline. Most people, these guys, will stay at their baseline for their whole life. Maybe they'll go under, maybe they'll go over for New Year's for a little bit, and then they'll go right back down again, back to their baseline. With self-improvement, you're always all over the place. So you have hills and valleys, hills and valleys, hills and valleys, hills and valleys, because you're learning new things, you're trying out new things. The way you improve so you don't end up in this endless cycle of self-improvement hell is by either making your hills higher and not improving your valleys, which is what most people do. They try to go on a winter arc and they just fail miserably. Or B, making your valleys higher. So if this is your hill, this is your valley, your baseline becomes your valley, and then this is your new hill. And then eventually, your previous hill becomes your valley. You get my drift? If at your previous hill, you were just going to the gym, then at your new hill, you are going to be going to the gym and meditating. And at this point, your new valley is just going to be going to the gym. A good way to explain this is it doesn't matter how hungover you are, you're still going to brush your teeth, you're still going to take a shower, you're still going to sleep at least 5 hours a night, I hope. It's the same thing with self-improvement. You just make self-improvement part of who you are. You just make this. This is your new baseline now. Now every day you are just going to the gym, right? It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to the gym, you're going to put in the work. Because a lot of people look at these self-improvement YouTubers and they say, oh, well, how does David Goggins run 100 miles? The answer is, he didn't wake up and just decide to run 100 miles. He woke up one day, morbidly obese, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go for a run. And he ran a quarter mile. Then next week, he ran half a mile every day. Then he ran a mile, and then 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, etc. And eventually, he grew up to 100 miles. That's how self-improvement works. As I said before, a lot of people, the vast majority of people, 99% of people, are right here. 50% of people are here, but they will never reach here. 1% of people are here. Now, the 99% of people will say, oh, he's just lucky. He just has good genetics. He's just special. He's just that guy. Do you really think that, go back to the start of the video. Do you really think the guy from the first picture would end up anything like the guy from the second picture 3 years later? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't expect me to look like that, but I just do. Simply because I put in the work, I understood how self-improvement works, and I understood how to motivate myself to no end. That is the mindset you have to have. Because right now you are in a cold, dark, freezing room with an open door leading to a bright sunny day. The sun is shining bright outside. The day is great. But you refuse to leave your room because the darkness is all you've ever known. The cold air is all you've ever known. Now you're probably saying to yourself, how could someone ever do this to themselves unless they were tricked? And the answer is you were tricked. You were tricked into doing this. You were tricked into doing all this by the drugs you consume on a daily basis and the societal brainwashing. Now, I guarantee the vast majority of people will click off on this video because they'll say they're too arrogant and lazy to really put in the work to start fixing their life. You need to learn to be comfortable exiting the room, to going into the sunlight, into embracing the sunlight, and to eventually become the essence of sunlight itself, becoming the essence of work, becoming the essence of love, so that you become work and love and purpose and mission itself, so you become the masculine energy yourself. Let's say that you're on your final set. Maybe you're stretching or maybe you're on the squat rack. You're going to be at that point where your whole body hurts and you just don't feel like doing anymore. It's about getting in the zone. This is how athletes do it. If you're doing a compound lift, what you're going to do is you're going to stare at something far away. Just stare at the ceiling. Now, if you're doing a hypertrophy-based lift, dumbbell curls, or, I don't know, tricep extension, you're going to imagine that particular muscle just working on that one. So instead of looking at something far away, you're going to think about that particular muscle and just imagine that muscle moving, the mind-muscle connection. One last thing is you want to imagine you're humping the bar. It's really weird, but you have to take your spiritual energy, and I'm going to sound crazy for a bit. It's really far out there, but you have to imagine that your energy is an orb. Most of the time, your energy, it's spread all over the place. Maybe you're thinking about that new video game you want, or you're thinking about, I don't know, that girl you saw, but you didn't approach, etc. You have to take all your energy and bring it in one place. Imagine it in a big fiery ball near your core. And you want to push it out into the weight. Imagine it bringing up into your arms and just pushing the weight out. Look up The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. This book will say it so much better than I ever possibly could explain it. Definitely read this book. This will transform your life. The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. It talks a lot about masculine and feminine energy, more than I could ever say in this video, but if you can master this, if you can learn to take your spiritual energy and just use it, not particularly in a religious sense, but just learning to use your energy, your chi, what makes you you, and push it into the weight, push it into life, then you will absolutely annihilate everyone and everything. That's basically it for mindset. It's about embracing the light. It's about embracing the new things. It's about raising your baseline, understanding the cycle of motivation and work, and also staying accountable. You need to have a mission. You need to have a purpose. You need to have a plan. The way that you do this is you have to go in your room 30 to 60 minutes in the darkness and just think. Think deeply about who you want to be, who you want to become, and your long-term goals, your long-term game plan. Who do you see yourself being in 5 years? Who are you now? What are your mindset like? Who do you want to become? Write down 30 to 50 points about your enemy. Who is the man you want to be? And just write down as many things as you can about him. Then every time you go to the gym, every time you wake up, every time you think about doing anything, compare yourself to him. What would this man do? How would this man live his life? And if you can do all this, rewatch this 3 to 4 times just to really get it to sink in, alright? If you can do this enough, if you understand these frameworks, if you wake up in the morning, and if you reinstill this daily into your mind, you will succeed. To start, there are 4 types of food: protein, fat, carbs, and then water. Now, 60% of your diet should be fats and protein, 30% healthy carbs. There are 2 types of carbs. There are processed carbs, and then there are healthy carbs, as I mentioned earlier. Examples of processed carbs are like pastries, most breakfast foods, grains. Healthy carbs, fruits, vegetables, all that good stuff. The reason why we consume so many of these on a daily basis is because they replicate the sugars found in naturally occurring carbohydrates. So, sugar in potatoes and meats and carrots, celery, tomatoes, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, all these fruits, all these vegetables. The developers behind these foods understand that they are chemically addicting to the brain because they replicate the sugars found in everyday food that is actually helpful for us and required for us to live. For now, all you have to worry about is incorporating more good foods and eliminating the bad foods. So, let it load really quickly. Foods to avoid, foods to add depending on your goals. If you're attempting to gain weight right now, if you're skinny fat, or if you're underweight, you're bulking up, you want to have more condiments, you want to have some more grains that aren't necessarily processed foods, although you can have them occasionally if you do feel you need to. Dairy products, beef, nuts and seeds, trail mix especially. Cutting foods, water-rich fruits and vegetables. Tomatoes, watermelon, pineapple can be high, but doesn't matter. Cantaloupe, popcorn instead of chips is absolutely amazing. A lot of fish. Don't try to eat too many fish because they do have a high amount of mercury in them. Soups, rice cakes. I don't know why I put cabolette there, but just more fruits and vegetables in general. Then also 3 to 4 liters of water a day. That's around 15 cups or so for men, 15 to 16 cups. You should be drinking so much water to the point where your urine is a light yellow to almost clear in color. If it's anything dark yellow, I'll actually bring up the dehydration scale. If it's anything from moderate yellow to below, you have to drink more, get it out checked by a doctor. There are some foods and medical conditions that can cause your urine to have different colors, but generally, completely clear to light yellow is just what you need. You know the basics, right? Food is calories. Calories are a unit of energy. If you eat more than you burn, you will gain weight. If you eat less than you burn, you will lose weight. Pretty simple. A good rule of thumb is to not weigh yourself more than 1 time per week. For example, let's say you weigh yourself on Monday and you weigh, 225 pounds. You weigh yourself on Tuesday and you're 219 pounds. You're like, oh, I've lost 6 pounds. How did I do that? And then Wednesday, 222 pounds. And the reason why is because of water weight and really depends on the food you eat throughout the day. If you eat a lot of high fiber foods, that'll take more time to go through your system than a lot of low fiber foods. So a good rule of thumb is only to weigh yourself 1 time per week. Now, more elaboration on what to eat. As I mentioned earlier, you want to eat your fruits and vegetables 2 to 3 times a day. You want to incorporate certain foods into your diet depending on your goals. Try to eliminate these foods as much as you can down to 10%. And also make sure that understanding that calories are not created equal. So, let's say that you have a thing of strawberries, right? You have a pack of strawberries. I would say this is about 70 calories for a handful of strawberries. Now you compare that to a handful of trail mix, for example. That's like 300 calories right there. So, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to eat right now? Should I be looking for low quantity, high calorie foods, or high quantity, low calorie foods? It all depends on your goals. Let's say you need to eat more vegetables, but you absolutely hate them like I do. An easy thing you can do is start putting vegetables into your sandwiches. So, I'm not telling you to just eat rabbit food all the time. I'm telling you to put lettuce on a sandwich, or have some kale on the side of a steak, etc. Make it work for you. You don't want to torture yourself for nothing, because dieting isn't about torturing yourself. It isn't about punishing yourself for things out of your control. It wasn't your choice that you'd be hooked by the sugar and dopamine industry. It wasn't your choice that you had to end up like this. It was societal brainwashing and the nature of the drugs you consume on a daily basis that made you like this. Always remember that. If you're having trouble with sort of detaching from sugar, I highly recommend Alan Carr's Easy Way. Alan Carr's Easy Way to quit sugar. Just the easy peasy method in general. Alright, sorry about that. I don't know if my Wi-Fi went out or something like that, but anyway, Alan Carr's Easy Way. It will help you escape any addiction on the planet, especially emotional eating and sugar. I highly recommend it for all of your needs. And the best thing is that you don't have to stop drinking or smoking or gambling while you're doing it. You read the book 3 to 4 times, you go through the processes, maybe you go to one of his seminars in real life, and it'll completely change your life. After a few weeks of incorporating good foods, eliminating bad foods, you will want to start counting your calories, because by monitoring your weight, and monitoring the amount of food you eat on a daily basis, you will start to be able to manage your macronutrients more effectively, making sure you're getting enough protein, fats, carbs, etc., and also ensuring you're seeing progress in the long term. Now, the first thing you want to do is go to this website, calculator.net, calorie calculator, and put in your information. So, go to calculator.net, calorie calculator right here. Put in your age, male, height, weight, activity level. Let's say you're sedentary, you don't really do much. It'll tell you exactly how much you have to eat, depending on your goals, if you want to maintain your weight, lose weight, gain weight, etc. Keep in mind this isn't a completely accurate result. For example, my daily caloric intake, when I look mine up, is 2,200 calories. Now, from all the exercise I do, it's around 2,700. So, depending on what you're doing in life, if you have any medical conditions like hormone imbalances or low blood sugar, etc., it's going to differ drastically, so make sure you do your research and just find out what works for you if you have to eat an extra 300 calories to maintain your weight, etc. Especially if you're a teenager or a young man in your 20s, this is going to be at least 250 to 300 calories off. Now keep in mind that while you can just read food labels and try to stay within your macronutrients, that's really inefficient, that'll take a lot of time, and we don't have the extra brain power to spare as business entrepreneurs. So, save yourself some time, get on MyNet Diary, MyFitnessPal, etc. You just put in your information. Get on an app like MyNet Diary, MyFitnessPal, etc. You put in your information, everything you gotta do, and it'll tell you your exact macronutrients, your exact calories, exactly what you have to do, how many calories you have to eat on a daily basis, and you won't have to worry about anything. As I said earlier, food scales, absolutely amazing. $10, relatively cheap. You can get a weight scale. Most fitness centers have one. You can go to the doctor, use theirs, etc. And then lastly, some other quick tips. 1, don't starve yourself. You aren't torturing yourself for nothing. You're choosing to live a better life. 2, as I mentioned earlier, 50% plate, fruits and vegetables. 3, fill time with productive shit so you don't just eat when bored. Go to the beginning part of this video, start exercising, start filling up your life with things you genuinely enjoy. So working on a business, working on hobbies, learning something new, going to school again, etc. Fill glass with ice when pouring soda in restaurants, so you're diluting your drinks. Because what'll happen is, let's say you have a whole can of Monster, right? It's gonna fill up to here, but if you put ice in it, you can only use half a bottle, and then it also feels like you're drinking more, and you aren't just endlessly binge drinking, etc. Use an accountability partner. I highly recommend that. Absolutely amazing. Stop snacking. You want to do intermittent fasting instead. So, this saves the biggest meals for when you're hungriest, and this also 10x's your productivity. So let's say that you eat breakfast, and then you eat dinner, then you eat a snack after if you're still hungry. What this will do is, when we wake up in the morning, we weren't made to be hungry. We weren't made to immediately eat in the morning because we were born to hunt, get food, then start our day. So by having breakfast immediately in the morning, you're basically taking that away from your body. So what I recommend is spending 1 to 2 hours working before you eat breakfast, work throughout the day. Don't eat lunch. This will give you about 6 to 8 hours of productivity. Eat dinner, go to the gym, do some shallow work. Don't try to get any work done in between this period. Eat a snack, get ready for bed, whatever you want, etc. Make sure though that you're eating dinner 3 hours before bed so you don't screw up your sleep cycle. Avoid overexerting yourself early. Make sure you're eating slower, and you're using smaller plates. So, my family has like these big Texas style plates. Now, one of these plates typically has 2 to 3 servings on it. But I started buying these smaller plates off of Amazon. So now, when I eat with them, I'll usually eat 1 to 2 small plates instead of eating 1 to 2 of these larger plates. So instead of eating 4 servings, I'm eating 2 servings, etc. The opposite applies when you're bulking. If you're trying to bulk, you want to eat larger plates and eat your first meal faster than your second. So you trick your brain into thinking that, oh, I've already ate, or I haven't actually already ate yet. Conversely, if you're cutting down, You want to eat your first meal slower. Same thing with drinking. You want to drink slower, you want to eat slower, so your brain has more time to absorb that you've ate and that you're full. Of course, avoid liquid calories, processed, sugary foods as I mentioned earlier, and also avoid rewarding yourself, because you're telling yourself that you're denying yourself the opioid pleasure of artificial sugar and processed foods that are destroying you mentally and physically. You aren't actually doing that. All you're doing is choosing to live a better life and choosing to become a better version of yourself. That's all you're doing. And by making it more difficult for yourself, all you're going to do is prolong the torture. That's basically it for how food works. Alright, part 2, how to sleep. The only thing you have to worry about the sleep cycle when you're sleeping is deep sleep. Vivid dreaming, REM, and deep sleep is when your hormones such as testosterone and other important hormones for your body to get big in the gym. These are when they're most produced. Of course, they're all produced throughout sleep, but this is when the vast majority of them are created. Now, 2 things we have to do to optimize the time we spend in REM sleep and the quality of sleep we have in general. We have to create a good sleep environment so we can fall asleep easily, and we need to live a good life so we stay asleep. For you to sleep well and have a good sleep environment, your room needs to be cold, dark, and quiet. Now, how do you do this? It's pretty simple. For cold, your room should be between 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It should be 5 to 10 degrees colder than you keep it during the day. Dark, you can wear a sleep mask if you need to. You can get those off of Amazon. Quiet, some people like to use a white noise filter. You can also find that off of Amazon. White noise sound machine. Some people use this. I've heard that helps a lot. Me personally, I just buy a crap ton of earplugs at the drugstore. That's what I use. But right, remember, cold, dark, and quiet like a cave. That's how you create a good sleep environment. Living a good life is more specific. There are 2 parts to this. 1, you need to have a purpose. You need to have something you're doing every day. So at the end of the day, you're tired because if you're just sitting down eating potato chips all day, your body's going to assume that you were sleeping all day and it has no reason to rest. And it doesn't just have to be exercise. I'm writing down exercise really slowly right now, but 30 to 60 minutes is best. Walking, jogging, whatever you want. But also, you can just follow your purpose as well. So if you're working on, your business, school, work, etc. for 90 to 120 minutes a day, you are going to still be able to fall asleep because your brain was working. You have to be doing something throughout the day to make you and your body think that it's time to go to bed because you've been busy all day. And this was a major problem for me for a long time. I was doing nothing during the day and I always wondered why I had sleep insomnia. Of course, there are many other reasons why I might have sleep insomnia, but quite often it's from lack of exercise and purpose. So, if you're doing deep work for 90 minutes a day, right, work that you genuinely enjoy, not just schoolwork, but work that genuinely aligns with your purpose, and exercising for 30 to 60 minutes a day, and you still notice it's hard to fall asleep, your environment's good, another problem might be how you are falling asleep. So, if you're waking up, or if you're going to bed, if for an hour before bed you're scrolling on TikTok, there's blue light that's emitted from your phone. That light, we call it blue light because the blue light is similar to the light emitted from the sun. So your brain, it sees this blue light, and it just says, oh, it's midnight, but it's daytime because I'm seeing this blue light from the sun. So we have to adapt our routine so our brain and body thinks that it's viewing the sunset, that it's time to go to bed. This is why during the winter you're tired all the time. You get a lack of sunlight. And then when you're up in the middle of the night scrolling on Instagram Reels, that's why you can't fall asleep because your body was tricked into believing that the sun is still up, and now I went from middle of the day to midnight. How do you do this? Well, first of all, an evening routine. 3 hours before... Why is my text so small? 3 hours before bed. No exercise, no food, alright? You aren't going to be eating, and you aren't going to be exercising 3 hours before bed. This will allow your body to no longer think that it has to hunt for food, that it has to work really, really hard. You can still work on your laptop, you can still do your homework, still work on your business, etc. 2 hours before bed. No more blue light. So as I said, blue light, it's the light that is emitted from your phone. So if you're on a Windows, you can just look at the tutorial if you're on a Mac. Go to settings, display. You want to go to night light. Most settings like Apple Android, it's under night light, and you want to go turn on now. You can keep it at around 80. If it's late at night, turn it all the way to 100, but generally around 80, 85 is pretty good. Lux is a pretty good app for this if you don't want to turn it on manually every night. Flux. There you go, Flux. This will absolutely transform your life because it utilizes the spectrum. So late at night, your laptop turns bright red. It's like a campfire. During sunset, it's yellow, and all throughout the day, it's going with the rate of the sun. So when it's midday, your screen is bright blue. When it's evening, yellow. When it's at night, it's red. And that's basically it when it comes to living a good life and designing your routine to help you stay asleep. A couple more things you can do. Never take supplements like melatonin. I like eating a quarter cup of pistachios and some green tea, decaffeinated, and planning your day beforehand has also been shown to have many benefits because, right, we're busy people. So we will oftentimes lay in bed awake thinking of what we have to do tomorrow. I'll put up a picture of my routine personally. I highly recommend a campus notebook, just writing down your stuff the night beforehand, so you aren't staying up worried about what you have to do or what you didn't do. Sorry I'm stuttering a lot today. I don't know what. I slept like only like 6-7 hours last night. And now I'm recording a video about sleep, so kind of ironic. Yeah, morning routine, I didn't mention this. You want to wake up at the end of a sleep cycle, so you want to go to this website, sleepcalculator.com. You want to tell it what time you want to wake up. Let's say you wake up at, 7:30 a.m. It'll tell you what time you need to go to bed for you to experience 5 to 6 sleep cycles. By setting your alarm for these times, you'll wake up more refreshed. Just better in general. So if you want to wake up at that time, you need to go to bed at 10:15 or 11:45 p.m. Yeah, red light, check. Oh, positive day beliefs, night beliefs. Your brain, it's in a state before you go to bed and before you wake up that your brain will be ready to essentially take in whatever you give it. Because while we're sleeping, our brain does a lot of work in the background. It's doing a lot of healing. So for like half an hour after you wake up, your brain is going haywire. Has all these good ideas. What you want to do is you want to think positive beliefs like, I will succeed in my business today. I will do 1,000 push-ups. And then if you tell your brain early in the morning, okay, I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups today, your brain will genuinely believe, okay, I have to do 1,000 push-ups today. I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups today. Eat a high-protein breakfast, low-carb lunch, don't nap. Oh yeah, if you can't fall asleep, do this routine. Meditate, light stretching, read with red light if it's really bad. Read for like half an hour, go back to bed, and just enjoy the rest. You don't worry about falling asleep. If you get that feeling that, oh, I have a lot of work to do tomorrow, or, oh, I need to sleep extra, don't. Your brain will be so exhausted from getting 4 hours last night that you're guaranteed to get 8 hours this night. So don't change your routine in any way. And just enjoy the rest for now. Just enjoy that you get to lay in your bed in a nice warm house, hopefully, and just enjoy the rest and don't worry about falling asleep. The more you worry about it, the harder it's going to be. More sleeping tips. Don't care about your sleep stats. Don't ignore sleep for the grind. Don't reflect on day. Do that before bed. Don't lie in bed awake. Do these. Bedroom is for sex, sleep, and relaxation only. If you can, don't try to work from your bedroom. I get it. If your dorm has a separate area, do it in a separate area. This also starts building the entrepreneur mindset of, I'm not confined to one room to work all the time. Alright, and that's for week 2. See you next week. Alright, training. Your first couple of weeks, you're just going to be doing what you like doing and adding onto that. So, let's say you play football, right? After practice, you're just going to run a couple laps with the guys. You're going to become the fastest, strongest, essentially the best guy out there on the field. Let's say you like walking your dog. Instead of walking your dog for 10 minutes a day because you have to, you're going to walk him for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, etc. Just adding more onto what you're already doing and what you already genuinely enjoy doing. What this will do is it will start building habit, because we're in a position where it'll be much more beneficial for us to just do some basic cardio and start getting our heart rate up on a daily basis than trying to develop a muscle now. Niche cardio. After a few weeks of doing what you're doing, just a little bit more, you're going to start doing niche cardio. There are 2 forms of cardio. One, I like to call, is calorie burning cardio. The second is strength training cardio, so it is entirely dependent on your goals. If you are trying to cut down or shred, you're going to want to go for calorie burning cardio. If you're already thin and you just want to develop strength development alongside upper body, you want to get some speed, agility, and lower body, speed cardio will be the best for you. We'll start with calorie cardio, so skip ahead. Calorie cardio, it's pretty simple. 3-30-12 routine. 3 miles per hour for 30 minutes at a 12% incline. Start with, you realistically can't walk in the treadmill for 30 minutes at a 12% incline because that's just really difficult. And I know it sounds easy, but your calves will be absolutely killing you by the end of that. So start with a 6% incline. Over the next couple of weeks, work up to a 12% incline, or do this for 10 to 15 minutes instead of 30 minutes. Now, speed cardio. High intensity interval training is the goal. What is high intensity interval training? Also called HIIT. It's pretty simple. You're going to run first for 10 minutes, a really light jog. You could basically have your hands in your pockets at this speed. 10 minutes jog, a warm up. Then you are going to run for 1 minute, sprint for 1 minute, more specifically. Jog 1 minute, sprint, jog, sprint, jog, and then 10-minute cool down. You can just repeat this pattern of sprinting and jogging as long as you feel you need to. You can also increase the speed and the duration you're running. So instead of running for 1 minute, you could jog and sprint for 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes, 30 seconds, etc. It's entirely dependent on what you're working on. If you're working on speed, on cardio, basically anything. Calories, this will not burn a lot of calories. This is more on the speed side, so you can adjust this to your liking. Second thing you can do for calories is long distance running. Now, when you do long distance running, it's pretty simple. You take your mileage. So let's say you're running for 30 minutes 3 times a week. What you're going to do is you're going to translate that over to outside workouts. So that means you're running for 90 minutes a week. What you're going to do is you're going to run for 10 minutes 6 days a week. And then once you can comfortably run for about 1.5 miles every day, you're going to start working on your mileage instead of how long you're running for. What this will do is prevent burnout. Now, there are 2 main injuries when it comes to running, particularly with long distance running. There are hydration injuries, and then there are mobility injuries. Hydration injuries, these are the side stitch. So you're out running, and after 10-15 minutes, your whole side just cramps up, and your whole body hurts. It sucks. The way that you prevent this, it's just like before getting to bed. 3 hours before bed, you aren't going to eat. 1 hour before bed, you're not going to drink anything. What I like to do is I like to wake up and run, so your body is already in the mindset, and after a while it just becomes part of a habit, because your body doesn't need to drink, your body doesn't need to eat when you wake up. You know, you can eat a banana, you can drink a coffee, if you're going for a really long run, or if it's early in the morning, but generally, no food 3 hours before running. Don't drink while running unless you're running like really, really far. The second type of injuries was mobility. Mobility injuries, it's all about stretching. You have to do dynamic stretches before and static stretches after you run. Dynamic stretches, these are stretches that involve movement. So, we'll bring up dynamic stretches. You can find dynamic stretching routines on YouTube. Static stretches, these are stretches similar to ones at the beginning of this course, so you can go back to the specific video I referenced to you. Because your body, your muscles, your muscle fibers, every time you run, they're being torn apart. So if you don't give them the time to heal, and if you don't treat your muscles in a certain way, they're going to just rip apart. It's like trying to pull on a rubber band without warming it up first. It's just going to snap. Now that you're doing some cardio, maybe you've started going to the gym, you're getting on the treadmill every couple days, you're doing some mobility work after, we get to start doing the fun stuff. We get to start doing strength training. Now, as I mentioned, strength training, your muscle fibers, every time you lift something heavy, you're creating micro tears in the muscle fibers. So, 2 things. 1, less is more. And 2, focus on form. Less is more, focus on form. A lot of people will see themselves as these invincible machines that can't be broken, but then you're going to be getting injections for your lower back pain at 30. So we need to make sure that our movements are slow and controlled. We are focusing on lifts that will target our muscles effectively and not using our whole body for isolation exercises. If you're doing a bicep curl, only your bicep should be moving up and down. Your elbow is not moving, it is staying pinned to your side. Your back is not moving. Unless you are going to your last rep to failure, true muscular failure, your body should not be moving, only the muscles you are aiming to target. If you want to know if you are targeting the muscles effectively, you should be able to feel the muscle working without even having any weight on. For example, if you're doing a proper tricep extension, you should feel your muscle clench. So keeping these two things in mind, the workout split I recommend is 3 times a week, full body split. The reason why is because it optimizes for rest. Obviously, we're busy people, we have work, we have school. What you can do is you can break this down into a 5 times a week or a 6 times a week. Do like a half full body. I'll show you how to do it. I'll put up right now the 3 times a week full body split that you can follow. And now here's the 5 to 6 days a week. It's the same exact thing, except it's split into 2 parts, so it's split over the course of 5 to 6 days. There are other splits you can follow. There's the Arnold split, push-pull legs, full body, as I'm mentioning now. Start with 3 times a week full body. Start by going at a really light weight and prioritizing your form, lightweight, at least focusing on doing the movements correctly. If you're doing this for a couple months and you're like, oh, well, I need to work on my legs more because I run track, or I need to have a bigger upper body because I run football and my coach needs me to bulk up 20 pounds. Right? I get it. All you have to keep in mind when it comes to creating your own split is that every workout split should have a compound lift, a body weight lift, an isolation lift, and a mobility lift. An example of each: a compound lift would be bench press. A body weight lift would be pull-ups or push-ups, dips. An isolation lift would be your biceps or your triceps, so bicep curl. And a mobility lift would be medicine ball throws. Every time you go for a workout session in the gym, you should include one of these types of lifts. Over the course of how many days you can get into the gym, this may increase, so you might have 3 isolation lifts or 3 isolation exercises, 1 body weight, 1 compound, 1 mobility, then do that like 3 to 4 days a week. You might be doing just 1 of each 5 days a week. That's what I'm doing currently. During the summer, I do a 3 times a week of full body. I have about 2 to 3 of these for each of them, and I'll just go for 3 days a week. It's really about whatever works for you. An 80-year-old grandma looking for personal training to fix her lower back versus a 20-year-old playing college football. Completely different things, completely different needs, and you should adjust it accordingly. Alright, here's 10 quick tips when it comes to getting into the gym. These are mistakes that I've made over the years, so you don't have to make the same ones. First, go alone to start. Although it may seem appealing to have someone to start going to the gym with you, alongside with music, it's the same thing with music. If you start using these to begin with, they will become a crutch, and you won't be able to continue lifting without them. So avoid using music, avoid lifting with people to start with. Eventually, of course, if you're hitting a heavy set, you can listen to some music, especially if it's a new place. You've already been going for a couple months. Sure, you can bring some friends and you can do a group lifting session. I've noticed that, especially when you're hitting a PR, that's really important to have people with you, but generally you want to go alone to start. Don't rely on fatigue/soreness. A lot of people, when they're first starting out, especially if they aren't using an app like Strong, they'll define their progress based on how sore they feel beforehand. But remember, your body is built to constantly have strains and be fatigued in some way. So, if it notices you're constantly going to the gym, it will sort of take out this perception of soreness. So as time goes on, you're going to be adding on more and more and more weight and just unnecessarily injuring yourself. So start getting an app like the Strong app. Strong.app. It's on Apple, it's on Android. Start using this every time you work out. It's a digital workout log. You can also use a physical workout log. Make sure you're getting an increase of up to 10% volume per week. This also helps you have a schedule before you go to the gym. so you aren't just winging it, because if you wing it, oftentimes you won't accomplish half as much as you plan to. You'll end up talking to people, you'll end up just not being as productive as you'd like to be. It's like when you're trying to work on a test or work on an essay, work on your business, etc. If you don't have a plan, you're going to obviously fail. Same in the gym. Don't ego lift or be a robot either. You'll see these people where, right, they're slamming the weights around and their whole body is moving back and forth when they're trying to do a bicep curl. If you're trying to hit your bicep is this really small muscle. You're using your entire upper body to lift so much weight that your bicep can't even handle. But also don't be a robot either. I'm not telling you to be some nerd who says, oh, well, I only curl 15 pounds because, muscular hypertrophy, guys, right? Don't swing, but don't be a robot either. You can have a little bit of lean weight, especially on the last few sets. If you're on your 15th rep of your 4th set and it's a really heavy weight, so you're going to failure, of course, you'll need to swing your back to bring the weight up, but don't do that all the time, and don't just give up early just because you can't have perfect form all the time either. Rest depends on how you feel. A lot of people will restrict themselves to 30 seconds or 1 minute rest times, but it's really about how you feel in the gym. It's generally recommended to have 1 to 5 minutes of rest, 3 to 5 minutes for compound lifts, 1 to 2 minutes for isolation exercises like bicep curl, tricep extension, compound lifts, bench press, squat. But it's really about how you feel. If it's your first set and you went at a light warm-up weight, you probably don't have to rest for 3 minutes. If it's your 4th set and you're benching 1.5 times your body weight, yeah, you're gonna need 5, 6, 7 minutes of rest just to get back in the zone. Make sure you don't rest for too long though, especially on the compound lifts, because then your heart rate will decrease, so it's actually harder for you to get the weight up in the first place. No cardio before lifting. I used to run, 7-8 miles a day, and then I would come home, go to the gym, and I would just have a terrible workout. And even later in the day, after you run that much, your body just isn't ready to add on that extra fatigue. So don't do cardio before you're lifting. If you're looking to bulk up, you shouldn't be running more than a 5K per day, I'd say. Because any more than that, 1, it lowers your testosterone levels. 2, it's really unnecessary. It's better you use that time spent on cardio, on speed and strength development in your legs, and even just in the gym and business and life in general, because you're wasting a lot of time on really something unnecessary. Just because you have the ability to run 12 miles a day doesn't mean you should. Lift away from the dumbbell rack and always wipe your weights. This is more of an etiquette thing. You see a lot of beginners, the dumbbell rack will be right here, and they'll be doing bicep curls. Well, the problem is that everyone else needs the dumbbells as well. So if you're doing bicep curls in front, then everyone has to scooch in front of you, and no one really wants to walk around the guy that's swinging dumbbells everywhere. No one wants to be hit in the face with a 30-pound dumbbell, so just be a nice guy and lift away from the dumbbell rack. Also wipe your weights. It's really disgusting when you leave the squat rack or the bench press. There's just a giant stain where your groin used to be. Just wipe that shit up, 30-minute ab workouts, complete BS. Just do these 3 exercises to improve your abs. Leg raises, those will target your lower abs, which are the ones that are the hardest to see, so prioritize those. And lastly, don't variate your exercises as much as you think you have to. You see these guys on TikTok and Instagram, they'll be doing these crazy ass workouts, they'll be swinging the weight all over the place, they'll do a squat and then a bicep curl and a shoulder all in one movement. It's really weird, so I can't explain it, but sure, it looks great on Instagram, but it doesn't actually do anything from a practical standpoint. All you need is a certain amount of exercises, a certain routine that you do every single day for a certain amount of days a week. Just do that for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and you will see progress. You don't need some swing, jump, lunge routine, all in one exercise. I don't know, some chair yoga belly fat burning program. You don't need that. All you need is a specific amount of exercises that target your muscles in a specific way that allow you to prevent injury and become stronger. That's all you need. And lastly, competitive sports. Competitive sports, I put it last because it's really optional. If you can, I highly recommend them. Of course, there are thousands of others, but the 4 main are boxing, BJJ, that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, and Muay Thai. Boxing and Muay Thai, these are standing sports. BJJ and wrestling, these are... BJJ is like... most of it is around, but in some parts, one opponent is standing up. BJJ and wrestling, I recommend doing one of both if you can, at least sometime. At some point or another in your life, you should start doing some competitive fights of some sort. You should do a standing sport, you should do a ground sport, just so you can learn how to defend yourself, you can get that confidence. And it's just fun beating someone up. Like, not in a, oh, I'm gonna beat up this guy and like punch him in the face, or like that sort of thing, but being in the ring with your boys, playing tag, punching each other, you know? Leave the fighting in the fighting ring when you have mouth guards and headgear and all that stuff. But with sparring, just have fun with it. Don't worry too much about it. If you're in a big city, you can find sparring gyms. If you're in a small town like me, what you can do, first of all, look up Tony Jeffries. Tony Jeffries is a great guy. Tony Jeffries boxing, absolutely amazing. Check out this guy if you're into boxing. This is what I did. Then you're literally just gonna hang a tennis ball from your ceiling, wrap it around some rope or twine, whatever, and just punch at that. Work at, that'll be your boxing bag. You can buy boxing equipment, but if you're broke, you can get this wraps. You can get medical tape from the drugstore. Just like wrap that around your hands, tie a bowling ball to your ceiling, and just punch at that. Look at boxing fights, professional boxing fights. You can just find a bunch of them on here, and just look at the technique. Look at them, how they fight, how they act before and after. You know, their punches, their slips, their hooks, etc. Even the small things like footwork. Analyze, take some minutes, grab a notebook, whatever. Just analyze how they do it, how they fight, and apply this to when you're hitting your tennis ball. Right? Don't spar unless you're with someone who's done it before. You're with a professional. It can get expensive pretty quickly, so try to find a fight gym that you can learn from people at. And then lastly, putting it all together, mixing cardio, strength training, and combat sports. How do you balance it all? And it's an answer of finding out how much time you spend on it each time per week. So, let's say you were to spend, I don't know, 100 minutes lifting each week. I'm saying 100 because it's really easy for me to calculate. 100 minutes, and then you were to spend another 100 on cardio, and then 100 minutes boxing, whatever. You want to add all this up. Okay, you're exercising for 300 minutes a week. Right, 300 divided by 6. That means every day you're going to exercise for 50 minutes, 6 days a week. Alright, final section, testosterone optimization and some last final mindset tips. I thank you for your patience if you've watched this whole thing. I'm using a new recording software, so post-editing, I'm noticing that the S in my words are very pronounced, so I'll probably have to get a mic guard or whatever they call it. What is testosterone? Testosterone is the male sex chemical. It is essentially what makes you a man. It allows you to grow hair, allows you to grow muscles. You probably learned this in health class. Now, how do we optimize our testosterone? We optimize our testosterone through reducing the synthetic estrogens we receive through our environment. And the way that we reduce our synthetic estrogens are in 3 main ways. 1, we reduce our exposure. 2, we start detoxing. And 3, we mitigate any effects we cannot remove fully. So we'll start with the first one, reducing exposure. Because synthetic estrogens are estrogens found in microplastics. There are microplastics everywhere. There's actually a study released that showed that something like 95% of men contain some form of microplastics in their testicles, and this is really bad, not only from a logical standpoint that you don't need a brain to just assume that microplastics in your testicles aren't good for you, but that can severely impact your reproductive health, which, if you're looking at having children, should be a major concern for you. So how can we reduce the microplastics in our life and live happy, healthy lives? First, you want to reduce the amount of microplastics you obtain through the air. You would be surprised how many microplastics and pollution there is, even if you live in the country. The first thing you want to do is start nose breathing. I'll bring up an image of a guy that is mouth breathing. Now, mouth breathing from a side view. Your nose has many micro hairs within it, and that will generally trap the vast majority of microplastics that will enter your body. Not only that, but mouth breathing also causes you to have a reduced jawline and receding chin, smaller airway, narrow face, bad posture, etc. So it's really important to start breathing through your nose. How do you do this? First of all, you want to start consciously breathing through your nose throughout the day for about a week. After that week of consciously breathing through your nose throughout the day, you want to start breathing through your nose at night. Breathe during day. Breathe during night. The way you breathe during night is by taping your mouth shut. And I'm not saying, oh, duct tape your mouth shut, but rather use micropore tape. Micropore tape, and you just add a really small amount, not even about an inch by half an inch, put it on your mouth, and subconsciously your body will keep your mouth shut and start breathing through your nose. It'll take about a week for your body to adjust. If you can do this, your body within a month will be able to naturally just breathe through your nose, and you won't have to worry about any of it. By extension, if you can start mewing, look up this man called Dr. Mike Mew. On YouTube. He will teach you everything you need to know about mewing, and mewing will allow you to reform your jawline, fix your jawline, so you no longer have that receding jawline and you actually start to feel better about yourself in general. That is how you reduce your exposure through the air. The second part 2 of reducing exposure, is through ingestion. So, the food we eat oftentimes contain microplastics. So, for example, if you're cooking eggs or some other type of vegetables on a saucepan, you're scraping the metal saucepan with a metal utensil or plastic utensil. So little fragments of chemicals that they put in the saucepan to make sure that your food doesn't stick to it, and also the metal itself, that is going onto your food. So you are getting metal and plastic fragments in your food. Not big enough that you can see them, but they're still in there. So on a daily basis, you're consuming microplastics, and this is really bad for you. What you want to do is start either getting wood utensils. If you can get a brick oven or a more natural means of cooking, that's even better. But typically, if you just get wood utensils, that's all you really need. Another part of this is getting quality food. You can cook your food well, but if you aren't eating the right food in the first place, what's the point? Food is about 30 to 40% of your microplastic intake. The food that you want to eat is more organic, more whole foods. So instead of eating processed foods with a bunch of chemicals from China that you don't even know the name of, you want to eat singular whole foods. So for example, just eat a tomato with salt and pepper. The more closer you can source your food to where you live, the better. Or locally sourced. Meat in general, you want to eat more meat. Some recommend the carnivore diet. I wouldn't recommend a full-on carnivore diet. You want to eat meat with 3 to 4 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and avoid carbs, all other forms of carbs, breads, pastries, cakes, cookies at all costs, and also 3 to 4 eggs a day. Eggs have high fat content, high protein. They're absolutely amazing for you. The reason why we're looking for meat and eggs is because everyone has always told you, don't eat fat, don't eat cholesterol. Cholesterol and fat are bad for you. But those are actually the building blocks of testosterone. So now you understand what food to eat and how to cook your food. But what about storing your food? You want to stop storing your food in plastic containers. Because when you store your food in plastic containers, plastics have the chance to leach into your food on a daily basis. Even more so, I guarantee plastics are leaching into the food you eat, If you microwave them, let's say I work at the construction site, right? I used to take plastic water bottles, put them out in the sun to dry because they were just in the cooler. By doing this, you're baking the microplastics into your food. This is the last thing you want, is to be baking the microplastics, the synthetic estrogens, which are destroying you mentally and physically, into your food. So avoid heating up plastic or using plastics as much as you can. You can go into Amazon and just find glass Tupperware. Another thing that's important is getting a reusable metal water bottle, so no longer using those plastic water bottles with a bunch of BPA in them. Metal water bottle. I recommend a half gallon or a gallon, but whatever works for you. You can also get these at the drugstore for relatively cheap. And lastly, a reverse osmosis filter. If you really want to go crazy. Tap water is the least of your concerns. If you are nose breathing, got the vast majority of the synthetic estrogens no longer in your food, you want to invest in a reverse osmosis, a 3-stage reverse osmosis filter to clean out your tap water of any harmful particles or synthetic estrogens as well. They're about $200 to $400, so it's a long-term investment, but it'll be absolutely amazing for not only your testosterone levels, but also for your gut health as well. You would be surprised by how much synthetic estrogens we absorb just by taking a shower, for example. I hear a bunch of guys that take a shower with body wash, all this lotions, but lotion, and tell this to your girlfriend, makeup contain a high amount of synthetic estrogens. Bad. You want to start using a bar of soap instead. Bar of soap, sure, it's been sitting in the plastic for months in some Chinese warehouse, but it's still better than nothing. You want to get rid of any gels that have any form of plasticky, some of them have these little beads in them. You want to get rid of all of that and look for organic brands when you can. Alongside your hygiene products, you want to limit the amount of synthetic material you are wearing on a daily basis. So the vast majority of athletic wear are synthetic. All these contain some form of polyester or non-natural synthetic fibers. And what this does is, especially if you're not wearing cotton underwear, microplastics is leaking into your balls. Microplastics is leaching into your body. Boxers, absolutely amazing. You can get a large pack off of Amazon. Try to look for cotton or bamboo. Cotton, bamboo, among other more natural fibers, and avoid synthetic material like polyester, nylon, etc. You may need to use synthetic material when you are competing, when you're in the bike gym, etc. because cotton and bamboo oftentimes trap heat a lot more effectively than synthetic material does. Synthetic material is really good for temperature regulation. So when you are exercising, while you generally want to avoid synthetic estrogens from leaching into your skin from your clothes, if you have to use synthetic material while you work out, that's completely fine. And that concludes the first step, reducing exposure. The second step is detoxing. So detoxing from the synthetic estrogens you are exposing yourself to on a daily basis. First, you want to look for more organic brands, more organic foods, more organic ways of doing everything in life. As I mentioned, limiting plastic exposure. An easy way to do this is to put phone in back pocket. When you can, of course. If you live in a big city like I do, it can be dangerous to put your phone in your back pocket, especially if your city has a big pickpocketing problem like mine does. Try to put your phone in your back pocket, or just keep your phone downstairs if you're working upstairs, if you're at home. You want to limit plastic exposure get boxers, get cotton boxer briefs. Stop putting your wallet, phone, all that crap. Keep that away from your body when you can, when you're at home. If you need to, I like to put mine in my hoodie instead of in my pockets. That way it's a little farther away than just right next to my ball sack. More water and fiber to get it out of your system, because the vast majority of these microplastics are stuck in your gut. So if you can increase the rate of which they will travel through your gut by increasing your fiber intake over the next couple of weeks, you can find a bunch of high fiber foods. These synthetic estrogens will go through your system more quickly, and also by drinking more, that'll also help flush it out. And lastly, mitigation, avoiding future synthetic estrogen exposure, because oftentimes when we're trying to remove these synthetic estrogens, we will not be able to remove them completely. Studies have shown that babies are actually ingesting microplastics in the womb. So from birth, your entire life, you've been surrounded by microplastics. So while we cannot remove microplastics entirely, we can still take effort to reduce its impact on us. So keep that in mind. You cannot remove microplastics 100%, but that's okay. We want to do the best that we can for now. The number one way you can do this is by supporting your immune system. How do you support your immune system? Obviously, exercise, sleep, and nutrients. You can get a multivitamin, exercise 30 to 60 minutes a day. That also increases your testosterone levels. Sleep 8 to 9 hours a night also increases your testosterone levels. The more you exercise, if you exercise more than 2 hours at one time, your body will actually start producing estrogen. So you want to exercise between half an hour and an hour and a half. So estrogen 2+ hours. Even just half an hour of exercise a day has been shown to increase testosterone in some way, shape, or form. What also helps is having less stress. 2 ways to do this. 1, mindfulness. Just go to the start of this video. 2, grounding. So, grounding is pretty simple. You just go outside in nature, I don't know, a beach, a park, etc. And you just spend some time just sitting and appreciating nature, just becoming more deeply intertwined with it. I'm not going to go in depth into grounding because I haven't done that much myself, but there's just something enjoyable about just going outside and being in the sun and just being there with the nature, with the trees, with the plants, with the animals. And I really do think that has an impact on testosterone in some way. Lastly, some more quick mindset tips. First, periodization. So, let's say you are getting into track. You want to start running, you want to start getting into the fighting gym, etc. You just want to do a high amount of cardio. Around 6 months beforehand, you want to start training. It's a good rule of thumb. Same thing for if you want to start bulking up. You should start preparing 6 months beforehand so you can prepare your body. That'll give your body adequate time to adjust for the conditions necessary. Second, for periodization, is every 3 months. 3 months, you should have a deload week. A deload week, you decrease your workload by 50%, and you'll be crazy by the sheer amount of muscle you'll gain in this period. Because oftentimes our bodies will run into these cycles of we'll be going to the gym for months and months and months on end, and our body just won't be able to keep up, but we're in the zone, so our body won't be able to tell us. It's kind of weird. It's hard for me to explain. Every 3 months, just take a 1 week, deload week, 50%. Lastly, the hump. The hump is this period of time where I'll bring back up our graph of success. You'll be in the gym for 1 year, 1.5, and you'll start seeing significant progress. Now, a lot of people, when they reach this point, they get cocky, right? And for a good reason. You're proud of yourself, you're proud of what you've done. However, if you do not take the time to stop and think about what you are going to do. Alright, bro, the power just went out. It's been windy as hell today. I don't know why, but sorry for the cuts in all the recording. Now, about 6 to 12 months after being in the gym, you will reach this point where I call the hump. The hump is where you're really starting to see progress, but you aren't at the point where your life is skyrocketing, essentially. Now, You will reach the hump and you will stay stuck here forever because of 3 main reasons. If you can cut these out, you will succeed endlessly in life. Ego, laziness, and stupidity. First of all, ego. 2 parts to this. 1, believing you are too good to improve further, so being happy where you are now, and genuinely believing that you don't need to improve yourself anymore. Or 2, seeing figures which are substantially more successful than you, and saying, no, I don't need you, I don't need your opinions, I want to do it my way. Oftentimes ego, I fall into traps of ego myself. You want to always be learning new things, you want to always be trying to become the best version of yourself, and part of doing anything in life is understanding that you suck at it, because if you don't embrace the fact that you're terrible now, you won't make the effort and realize that you need to improve in the future. That's ego. 2, laziness. It's similar to part 1 of ego, and it's genuinely believing that you're fine where you are now, you don't need to improve yourself any further. And oftentimes, right, when you're seeing good gains in the gym, maybe you've got a girlfriend, maybe the business is doing well, you sort of go off the gas, you start just relaxing, you're in the fast lane, you're doing good. But as humans, we are either in stages of growth or death. So, if you are not growing in some way, even if everything else is going fine, if you are not growing in any way and you are just attempting to stay still, if you do not keep your foot on the gas, and you don't even have to push the gas pedal that hard, even if you just keep it on there, just make sure your car keeps going, you are going to decelerate and you are going to fail. So always make sure that your foot is on the gas. Stupidity, you can't really do anything about stupidity. As we get older, we just stop doing less stupid shit. So as time goes on, you will get less and less and less stupid. So you just need to keep doing what you're doing now. Keep trying new things. Keep learning from other people. Making sure that your ego and your laziness is in check. And stupidity won't be a problem for you.